Hi guys, so welcome back to this video on corporate finance. So this is the second time that I'm recording this video because the first time I recorded, I went along for a long time, and then again, sir uploaded a few more videos, and I thought I'll re-record it. Okay, so you must be wondering, Rohan, sir hasn't even taken one class. Why have you started making videos already? So to be honest, I'm really excited for. Um, Sorry, brain freeze. Yeah, I'm really excited for corporate finance because this is a subject that I really found really interesting when I was doing my CA. And whatever we have done till now, even sir said this in the first lecture that um, the FRA, CM, these things are the building blocks of finance. They tell you the how balance sheet is made, how the books of accounts look like. But in reality, finance starts in this class. Okay, so it's very important for you to understand the concepts of finance because these things you can apply in your real life as well as in the case study competitions. If there is a budgeting case or a capital decision case or something like that, this will come in really useful. Okay, so even for cases where you have to, for case studies where you have to decide where you want to put your money, in which project, you have to calculate the NPV, IRR, and stuff. So I think this subject you'll find interesting. Um, this subject is a little numbers heavy and there's a lot of calculation sometimes. So please bear that in mind and um, don't get frightened by that because if you understand the concept logically, it's not going to be a very easy thing. However, try and make sure that you follow each and every class because just like the topic of compounding, this topic also gets compounded like with every class. So if you miss something in time value of money, you will not be able to catch up when sir teaches valuations later on or something. Okay, because the time value of money is a basic concept that will come in handy in later classes as well. Okay, so let's quickly get started. I don't want to make this video long again. So basically, let me just summarize what sir has said. A lot of it is similar to what we have generally learned in class 11, 12, or in compound interest, simple interest. So a lot of the things are very similar. So I think what I want to add to this is basically the use case of how time value of money is used in real life, right? So I hope you can see my screen. So firstly, what sir discussed was that for to calculate the time value of money, you have to understand how to calculate the value of money. Okay, so to calculate value of money, you have to calculate the interest rate. So generally, what happens if there are two banks that are giving loan and one bank offers a lower interest rate that is inexpensive, so the value of that so basically the money is valued on the basis of the interest rate. If the interest rate is high, money is expensive. If the interest rate is low, money is inexpensive. Now, this sir mentioned in his pre-read that interest rate is based on three factors: opportunity cost, risk, and inflation. So I thought maybe this is something that you might not be able to um, relate to. Like, how is this interest rate linked to opportunity cost, risk, and inflation? So opportunity cost is very simple. For example, let's say there are three people. Okay, so let's say uh, I am a um, stock trader and I do investments in the share market and I get let's say 12% return on whatever I do trade. And so for me, whatever money I have, the opportunity cost for that, if I have to give, if you tell me that, okay, Rohan, give me a loan. Okay, firstly, I'll not give it to you for free, right? So firstly, let's understand this part, right? So if I tell you that, okay, I have to pay my MICA fees tomorrow, and you give me 2 lakh rupees, I have to pay this, and then once I get the money uh, from the bank, I'll give it back to you, okay, in 10 days or something. So you'll give it to me that, okay, take this now, you pay the fees, and then you give it back to me in 10 days. So generally in that case, you wouldn't charge any interest for me. You will be like, okay, 10 days. But if the same thing I tell you that, okay, give me 2 lakh rupees right now, I'll give it to you once I get my final placement. In that case, you would charge some interest from me, right? Because for you as well, that money is not free. You have either taken a loan from a bank. So if you've taken a loan from a bank, your opportunity cost is the amount of interest that you have to pay back to the bank. Okay, let's say you've taken a loan at 10%. So for you, the opportunity cost is 10%. If you have not taken a loan and you've earned that money and it's in your bank account, the opportunity cost for that money is whatever you could have earned from it, right? So if suppose I had invested that in the share market, I could have gotten maybe 12%. So for me, that opportunity cost would be 12%. If I had invested that in fixed deposits, I could have got 6%. So for me, the opportunity cost would be 6%. If I had kept it in a savings bank account, it would have been 4%. So depends on how you can use the money. So a lot of finance decisions are based on the opportunity cost of money. So like, for example, if a company feels okay, so if a company feels that right now it's better to invest in somewhere because the the return from that investment will be higher than the opportunity cost, then only they'll invest. Okay, so so you get the opportunity cost, right? So if I can use that money to, if I can invest that money and gain 12%, if I give you that loan for 2 lakhs, I would at least charge you 12%, right? So that's the first thing, opportunity cost. Next is the risk. So most of us have taken loans from uh, loans for our MICA fees. So you would have seen that when the banks give us loans, they categorize the colleges in tier 1, tier 2, and something like that. And if you see that the rate of interest for each tier is different. Okay, so for example, let's say IIM Ahmedabad would be a rate of 8.6%, and then MICA would be 9.2% or something like that, right? I don't know the exact rates, but whatever. So why is that difference? Because the bank feels that a person whom I'm giving a loan to, a student of IIM Ahmedabad, has a lower risk than a student of MICA. Okay, so that is how they assess the risk, and based on that risk they charge the interest. So it's more risky to give money to a student of MICA because the bank feels that it's more likely that the person from IIM Ahmedabad will be able to repay the loan compared to MICA. Okay, so this is a very layman example. In case of like big businesses, businesses that are very, like if you do a startup or something which has high risk, you will get the loan at a very high risk, at a very high rate. Whereas if it's like Indian Oil or LIC or something, if they take a loan, it will be a very lower rate because the risk is lower. Okay, so that's the risk part. And the third is inflation. Now inflation is so currently the inflation rate in India is 4.9 something. Okay, so let's say 5%. So when I give someone a loan, I will not give them that loan at a rate lower than inflation. I'll not give you the loan at 4% when inflation is 5%. What that means is, if I give you if I give you a loan at 4%, that means that at the end of, when I get that money back, so let's say for 1 year I give you a 2 lakh rupees, and at the end of the 1 year you give me 2 lakh, and let's say 4%, so 2 lakh 8,000 you give it back to me. However, because of inflation, that 2 lakh is now worth 2 lakh 10,000. So actually, I lost out on money. So that's why when you see bank rates, there are two kinds of rates. One is fixed rate, one is a floating rate, and then there could be inflation adjusted rates. So basically, what the bank does is it adjusts for inflation, and always the interest rate will be higher than that of inflation. Otherwise, there's no point on giving the loan, right? If you can't beat the inflation, right? So these are the three things why interest rate is dependent on these factors. Okay, I hope you got this part. Second part that sir talked about was compounding. So compounding is the major thing that will be covered, and again, interest rate is a major reason why time value of money is calculated. And compounding, you can see that this, I am not going into too much detail. Sir did an example on the whiteboard and showed how simple interest and compound interest are calculated. That is basic stuff. Simple interest is, again, let's say if it's 12% rate, it's 12% every 12 rupees increasing every year. Whereas for compound interest, what happens is you get interest on interest. So sorry. So you can see that in the long run, the simple interest stays linear curve, whereas in case of compound interest, it grows exponentially. And you can see after maybe 25 years or something, it's this one remains at 342 and this remains at 1080. So that's why you don't. This is called the power of compounding, and that's why people who invest and stock traders and these people, they always say that you should invest like make use of the uh, power of compounding. Okay, so this is the formula of compounding. The future value FV is future value is equal to present value into rate, the 1 plus r to the power n. Okay, so the number of times, the number of years that present value is there. So if it's 3 years and if it's 12%, so present value, let's say it's 100 into 1.12 to the power 3. They'll give the future value, right? So that's the thing. Again, another point that sir mentioned in the last video is sometimes the compounding could be semi-annually. That means like twice a year, and sometime monthly or quarterly. So what you have to remember is that whatever rate you're taking, if the rate is, if that R is basically per annum, and so if the compounding is done per annum, then the R rate has to be per annum and the N is number of years. Number of years. If the compounding is per month, then that R should be, so like if it's 12% per annum, you divide that by 12 if it's monthly, and you get 1% per month. So in the R, you'll put 1 plus 1%, so 1.01. So that R should also be per month, and N should be number of months. So that way, whenever you do the compounding, it will be correct. Correct. I hope this part is clear. If you have doubt, you can ask me regarding that. I think I'm not elaborating on this part because this is something that people have done in CAT and everything. So I think this part is easy. Now, for the time value of money, I have taken an example where the interest rate is 8%. Okay. So if the interest rate is 8%, how do you calculate there are two rates. One is the future value interest factor. So this is called FVIF, future value interest factor. Okay. So what I have basically done is taken 1.08 to the power 1, then 1.08 to the power 2, and so on. Right. So what this basically says is that if I have 100 rupees today and I invest that at 8%, after 1 year I'll have 108 rupees. After 2 years I'll have 116.64. You can take this with anything. So if you have, let's say, 20,000 rupees today, and you want to find out how much money you'll have at the end of 5 years, you can just take the 20,000, multiply it with the FVIF, and that will give you the amount. So let's just increase the size a little bit. Yeah, so you can see that 20,000 today means that after 5 years you will have 1.4693. Okay, sorry, I mean 29,386. Okay, so this is called, so when you are increasing it, it's called compounding. Now the second thing that sir discussed was discounting. Okay, so in discounting, what happens is that it's just the reverse thing. So if you want, so we use discounting when you basically what happens is that sometimes decisions are made, and in the use case I'll show that. So sometimes decisions are made today, but the money will be received later on. So in that case, you can't really estimate whether money comes. So what is that value of that money today? So for that, you have to basically, you're investing some money today. Okay, that is going out today, and that money is, and the returns from that investment will come in future. So what you have to do is you have to bring those returns to today's value and value that at present value. So what basically says that suppose I invest, um, let's say 15,000 rupees today, and I will get, at the end of 5 years, 1 2 3 at the end of 5 years I'll get 20,000, right? And if my rate of interest is 8%, so how much is 20,000? So let me just put this here, 15,000. Okay, so there's an investment. Let's suppose there's an investment that you have to pay 15,000 today, and you'll get 20,000 at the end of um, 5 years. Okay, so is it worth investing? So what I will do is basically I will multiply that 20,000 into that PVIF. How is that calculated? So for the FVIF, what we do is basically, let me just stop the sharing once. So for the FVIF, what we do is, let's say it's 8%. So I take 1.08, then I multiply it into, and then equal to. And now every time you put equal to, that keeps increasing, right? And you then go to wherever the 5 was, and so you put equal to for 5 times, and whatever rate comes, that is your rate for the 5th year. And for the reverse thing, what you do is you put 1.08 divided and then equal to. So this will be the first year, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, so 0.68 06 something. So let's see if that's correct. So you can see 0.6806. That's the PVIF. So it's the discounting factor. So when you're pulling it back to the present, it's called discounting. Okay. So what I will do is basically to calculate the value of 20,000 today, I multiply this by this rate. So you see that getting 20,000 at the end of 5 years might seem that it's lucrative. Okay, but if you pull it back to today's terms, you see that it's only 13,000 in today's terms. So this is not a good investment. So this is where you understand what is the use of time value of money. Okay, now I'll do an example and show you guys how a case study is made. And so this is the example. So for example, so there are two people, me and Russian. Okay, and you, both of us come to you and we say that okay, we need 100 rupees today, and we'll give you back this money, 10. I'll give you back in this way, that after the end of first year I'll give you 10 rupees, after the end of second year I'll give you 20 rupees, 30 rupees, 40 rupees, 50 rupees. And Russian says that I'll, after the end of the first year itself, I'll give you 50 rupees, then 40, then 30, and 20, then 10. The total amount that we are both giving back is 150 rupees. That is same. Just the payment schedule is mine is bottom heavy and his top heavy. So which one would you rather give the money to? Okay, so I'll just stop here because there's three decisions you can say. Firstly is that it's no difference, whatever, whoever I give it, I get the same return because I get 50 rupees more. Second thing is Rohan is better and Russian is better. Okay, so just stop and think which one is better, and then I'll show you. Okay, so let's do that. So I had solved this. So this is basically how you use it. So this is the same rate, so 8%. I've taken the same rate over here, 0.9259, these things. So it's basically I'm getting 10 rupees at the end of the first year. I'm getting 20 rupees at the end of the second year. So I am bringing everything to today's terms. In fact, what I should do is basically I should take this one as well, and then do all equal to, one sec, copy, right, now it's better. Yeah, so you can see that I'm getting, so 100 will remain the same because 100 outlay, see it's negative because I'm paying the money right now, and these are receipts, so that's positive. So 10 rupees at the end of the first year means 9.26 at the end of the today. Same way, 20 rupees at the end of second year means 17.15. So you're just multiplying this by the PVIF. And at the end of the entire thing, you realize that actually you made only 13 rupees profit from that investment. Okay. Sorry, 13 rupees return from that investment. Um, and in the second case for Russian, you can see that you made 25.91 from that investment. So actually, this is the investment that Russian was proposing is much better because it's top heavy. 50 into 1, the discounting amount on 50 rupees, it's much less rather than 50 into 0.6806. So maybe you don't understand everything right here. This is a little more advanced concept. I was just showing you how case studies are made and how important the time value of money is. Okay, so cases will be like this, and you'll be given the cash flow from different activities, and you have to say that, okay, will I give that money to Russian or will I give that money to Rohan? Right. So I hope this helped. I think this is like a 20-minute video. You can watch it a little quicker at 1.5 if you want, and hopefully this helps. Uh, Again, this topic, entire topic of uh, finance is a very big topic. I want to just see how much sir covers, and based on what he covers tomorrow, I'll make a follow-up video if he covers something else. But I hope that at least watching this video will give you a little bit of an idea of um, what to expect from time value of money. There are 4 classes of time value of money, and um, it's a very good amount of time for this. Okay, so best of luck for term 2, and I'll keep making more videos. Just don't get scared of the numbers, because I know this might be a little number heavy topic, but trust me, it's more interesting than finance. I mean, more interesting than FRA and CM, because you'll be able to relate to these things. And I'll try and give more examples of whatever sir does in class. And yeah, thank you for watching, and meet you in next video. Bye.